Good evening, everyone. So today, or I should say a little bit earlier, I was streaming some PS2 games and didn't go super well. There were a few technical problems, a few player problems, you know. Anyway, wasn't the best of streams, so I figured why not redeem myself a little bit, get the Super Nintendo going, play one of my all-time favorite games, Castlevania IV. A true classic. One of the most atmospheric 16-bit games ever made. And a game that is basically a remake of the first Castlevania. Every 100 years, the forces of good mysteriously start to weaken. Thus, the power of Dracula starts to revive itself. His power grows stronger and stronger every 100 years. Classic tale, the Belmonts fighting against evil. But, yeah, I love this game. I know that some people think it's I think it's one of those love it or hate it kind of titles in the series. I know some think it's kind of an oddball, you know, with its more ambient soundtrack, the more whip-heavy gameplay. But I think it's probably my favorite. You know, it's either this or Symphony of the Night, but this game's hard to top. Yeah, Dracula is back once again, and Simon Belmont's got to step up once again. There it is. Destroy him. With only his whip and his courage, sets out to restore peace in Transylvania. So, let's go ahead and get it started. Now, unlike some of the games I was playing earlier this evening, this is one I'm feeling very confident about actually being able to complete, fortunately. This is a game I'm probably picking up, jeez, like every other month, probably. It's like just the right length, just the right challenge. Definitely one of my top 10 games. I mean, this was a 1991 game. You know, this is the launch year of the Super Nintendo. It wasn't a launch title, but came out within, I think, the first 6 months. Which is definitely pretty impressive. Like I discussed in that Castlevania 1 playthrough the other night, pretty much all the 2D games here, the classic style games anyway, the more you use your sub-weapon, the faster you get the multipliers, so definitely want to use them as much as possible. So I'll try and restrain myself a little bit just in terms of gushing over this game, but I absolutely adore the presentation. And that is probably the first time I've ever died in that spot. That's alright. I think we'll try and aim for 5 deaths or less tonight. I think we can manage that. The whole aspect of traveling to the castle instead of just starting there. I think this is the first, well, it was Castlevania 2, but in terms of the more traditional titles, I think this is the first one. What am I talking about? No, Castlevania 3 has that. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the little hold the whip out, swing it around. I don't know why they didn't add that in later games. Richter can do it a little bit, but not as well as Simon can. I am glad to see Simon and Smash Ultimate. That was a really cool inclusion. I think they really nailed this design, you know. Have him look like the classic kind of Conan the Barbarian inspired design versus the more, you know, like around Symphony of the Night. I don't know the name of that artist, I'm sorry, but I love her work, but definitely she has more of a androgynous bent on the character designs, which is totally fine. I think her design for a la carte and, you know, the other characters moving forward is fantastic, but Simon, I think, should have that kind of classic, kind of Conan the Barbarian look. Very easy first boss. Yes, this game isn't quite as challenging as Castlevania 1, that's for sure. I think out of the early titles, it's gotta be Castlevania 3 for the most challenging. That's a brutal game. I mean, Dracula in that one has like 3 forms. Some of the routes you can take, like if you go with a la carte through those caves, it's brutal. Entering stage 2 here now. One of my favorite pieces of music in the game. Ominous clouds going by in the background. Just fantastic. Yeah, the music definitely a bit of a departure, you know, from the first 3. But I think it's very effective. Kind of like going for the more acoustic instruments. Especially the ending theme. Can't wait to hear that later. Those of you who obviously enjoy the Soul series, I think there's probably a big Venn diagram you could design between the classic Castlevania titles and those games. It's like that level of challenge, the presentation. It's fantastic. It's one of those games, you know, if Konami ever decided to get off their asses and revive some of their legendary IPs, you know, Castlevania is something that it's always going to have a lot of potential. I didn't play those Lords of Shadows games, but at some point I probably will check them out. I also haven't played Bloodstained, not Bloodstained, Bloodstained, that Igarashi's Castlevania successor from a year or two ago. That sky backdrop is something else. This game definitely has a lot of those elements where they're kind of experimenting and showing off a little bit with the Super Nintendo hardware. It's like the multi-layer scrolling sky. Max, have you played Hollow Knight? No, I haven't played that, although I've had a few people recommend it to me. Would you recommend it? She's a pretty easy sub-boss there. But I like that she's just like this mid-boss, and it's not actually the end of the stage. The river starts flowing backwards. I recently watched the Werner Herzog remake of Nosferatu. That movie holds up. I mean, obviously I love the original, but to see it in a slightly, well, relatively speaking, modern form, but still paying homage in all the right ways, it's really cool. Scene where it's towards the end where Mina's, or whatever her name is in the unlicensed Dracula universe that Nosferatu occupies. She's kind of like wandering through the town square, and it was just like out of their minds, like partying and having like these feasts around the stacks of coffins and whatnot. Just like really, really awesome scene. Incredible filmmaking. Yes, it's good. Well then, that's it. I need to check it out. I'm definitely always on the lookout for more stuff to play. And that's one. I don't know why I haven't yet. It's been recommended to me so many times. I really should. But I will. I will definitely get around to playing that very soon. I was playing Resident Evil Village recently, and I don't know. I don't think I'm crazy about that one. I really enjoyed the castle segment, which is kind of the more traditional RE gameplay, but it seems like a very set-piece heavy game. You know, and that's unfortunately seems to be very... I've talked about it before, but it seems to be the case with a lot of modern titles, and I'm not super into that. But things that are very, like, gameplay, you know, focused, gameplay prioritizing, I'm definitely looking for. try and stick with the cross. Try and get some of those multipliers with that. I've mentioned it a few times now, but I tend to have this foot and mouth syndrome whenever I'm playing games, and you can see that it's exactly what just happened. Oh, let me keep the cross. Immediately pick up holy water. It's alright. The sub-weapons in this game are slightly less useful than they are in some of the other Castlevania games, just because of how much control you have over your whip in this. The omnidirectional whipping and stuff. But cross is still pretty handy. Holy Water isn't quite as OP as it is in the NES titles, but still pretty good. Can even bring the Super Nintendo's CPU to its knees, given the right circumstances. 4 is a great OST. Have you played any other Castlevanias? I've played pretty much all of them, I think. I mean, I think the only ones I haven't played are the ones on the original Game Boy. Not the Game Boy Advance, I've played all those ones. I haven't played Lament of Innocence, the second PS2 game, but yeah, otherwise I think I've played pretty much all of them. This track in particular, just otherworldly. Bloodlines is an interesting case on the Genesis because, you know, that's a great game in its own right, but, you know, it came out, I think, 3 years after this one. And just kind of considering the circumstances, you know, it kind of plays it a bit safe, in my opinion. But I do love it. I'm being very critical here, you know. But it kind of goes back to the more traditional Castlevania elements. Castlevania 64. You know what? I mentioned this, I think when I was playing Castlevania 1 the other day, but I have a big soft spot for Castlevania 64. I think it's a pretty underrated game. You know, I know it's really different for most of the games in the series, but I think it kind of it incorporates a survival horror element a bit into it that I think is kind of refreshing, you know? I appreciate the fact that it seems to be a little bit more daring to be experimental, you know, and like making Castlevania into a 3D format, versus that first PS2 game, which I feel plays it a little more safe. You know, almost so like, okay, well, you know, Devil May Cry kind of set the template. So, but I like it a lot. That's a game that I'll probably make like a proper full-fledged video on, because I think it's a really cool game. The day and night system, the multiple endings, depending on how much, you know, time you take getting to the end, and those other factors. I think it's really cool. I think it's a really cool game. Am I playing on an emulator? No, I'm not. I'm playing on my Super Nintendo. Specifically, I'm playing on my SNES Junior, if you want to be very technical, my SNES Junior one-chip modded for RGB output system. Because yes, I am a gigantic nerd. And I think I just screwed myself over, right? Can I get out of here? No. But no emulator, playing on the real system, real cartridge. Same one from the Contra 3 video. I did get a flash cart around Christmas though, the SD2 SNES, which I think is now called like the Retro Pack or something. But I got that. That's been pretty cool. You know, it's a really great opportunity to play, you know, games on real hardware. You know, things you didn't get, fan translations and all that stuff. You know, ROM hacks. Yeah, one game I definitely want to play through at some point on there is the original Clock Tower, which I think is easily the best in the series. Very cool game. How does the video output look for you guys? It should be pretty good. I don't think I have the OSSC like 100% perfect, but I think I've got it pretty good. It's like the stream health settings and stuff. And I gotta give props to my friend, his Nintendo, because he's the one who hooked me up with the system in the first place. So I still have my OG Super Nintendo from when I was a kid, you know, like the original model, which is now that like classic cigarette yellow color, you know, that they all seem to turn, regardless of whether or not you're a smoker. But yeah, he's the one who hooked me up with that, so thanks, man. Yeah, this game's definitely a bit more of like a back to basics approach after the experimentation of 2 and 3, but I think that was the right idea. Just take that core experience and really polish it up. Really take it to, you know, see what we can do with it in a 16-bit format. And I think they nailed it. You know, as far as Bloodstained goes, yeah, I mentioned I haven't played the proper game, you know, Bloodstained, but I did play that kind of like 8-bit promo game they made for some reason. That was pretty cool. Definitely has the kind of like the Castlevania 3 art style. Other than this, the most recent Castlevania I played was the second one, and I also think that's kind of an underrated game. But, you know, obviously it has some, it has its flaws, but I think it's good. I just love the exploration element. I think that's really great. And at this point now, like, I mean, many other classic games, you have tons of fan patches and hacks and stuff to, you know, kind of improve on the experience. That's one video I was thinking of, I was kind of toying around with about making. It's just like, okay, what's the best way to play Castlevania 2 right now? And what it came down to for me was basically a combination of like 3 patches, you know, where it's like, okay, touch up the translation, make it so like the villagers like actually give you proper hints sometimes. Add a map system. Like this one, it adds a full map system. Like how crazy is that? Like instead of just hitting start and pausing the game, you see like a full-fledged map. It's fantastic. Then other things like having some indication to like which blocks are actually the fake ones, you know, so you don't have to go through that trial and error of just throwing the holy water at the floor constantly whenever you're in a mansion. So I think really the only thing left would be maybe adding some better boss fights, because I think that's probably the biggest weakness of that game. You know, because even Castlevania 1 had several cool boss fights, and then 2 just has... It almost feels like an afterthought or something. But I mean, that would realistically be a little bit harder to implement than some of the other things, so we'll see if that ever happens. Yeah, there'll be there will be a good amount of Castlevania content on this channel in the future. I'll say that for now, for sure. Do I believe in Elden Ring and SGF? Let me tell you, Max, I certainly hope so. I'm feeling pretty good about it, just considering there seems to be so many people giving little hints. You know, insiders and stuff, and just YouTube channels, you know, they're dropping these little hints. I've been burned many times now. You know, I mentioned this earlier, but I've watched so many gaming events that I otherwise wouldn't have in the last couple years. You know, the Game Awards, E3, Sony stuff, Microsoft stuff. Just, you know, these things I would have no interest in. But I only watch because, like, oh, maybe Elden Ring. And so far, you know, obviously hasn't been there. But I'm feeling pretty good about it showing up tomorrow. But after everything we've gone through in the last couple years, it's like, yeah, great if it shows up. If not, I'm fine to keep waiting. But I'm confident it will be there tomorrow. And if not, we'll all go off. We'll all go after Jeff Knightley together. It'll be great. I did see the leaked footage from a month or two ago, which seemed... I mean, it wasn't supposed to be seen by the public, and looks like it wasn't supposed to be seen by the public, but it's one of those things where it's like, you know, a trailer would be fantastic, but... And, you know, it would build hype, of course, but it's like, I know that it's going to be a fantastic game when it does release. So I'm content to just wait. And I think with every one of Miyazaki's games so far, you know, there's been this element of, you know, it was released before it was truly ready, you know what I mean? Some deadline. Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, maybe not so much Bloodborne, but, and maybe not so much Sekiro, but those games all have these elements that it's clear that, you know, stuff had to be cut, or maybe things didn't come to fruition exactly how they wanted. So for them to have an opportunity to really, you know, have as much time as they want, now that they've got the credibility, everybody knows they're, you know, like the masters or whatever. You know, it's exciting to just think what they can do with as much time as they want. What's my expectations for SGF E3 besides ER? To be honest with you, nothing. I have like no other games on my radar, which is kind of a bittersweet feeling, but it's alright. I mean, there's so many other games that are already out that I haven't played that. That's okay. SGF is Summer Games Fest. It's one of Jeff Knightley's things. I don't know much about it either, other than it just being kind of like his, basically like the Game Awards, but without the awards. You know, it's basically a chance for some people to drop some trailers and some gameplay footage, some interviews, and all that stuff. So. But yeah, maybe tomorrow we'll get Elden Ring, and we'll get the Winds of Winter. George R.R. Martin and Miyazaki will come out on stage together. It's like we're gonna release a demo tonight. You can buy Winds of Winter on Kindle right now. New IPs are the best. Yeah, I think so for the most part. I think the gaming industry right now has a big problem with stagnation on like a million levels. So new IPs are exciting just to see, you know, the rare opportunity for a developer to, you know, stretch out a bit and maybe try something new. And then especially with From Software, I mean, in my opinion, every one of their games that's not a direct sequel are their best ones. Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, Bloodborne, Sekiro. I mean, I love Dark Souls 2 and 3, don't get me wrong. You know, I just crossed like 800 hours or something crazy in Dark Souls 3 the other day on Steam. But just in terms of it does seem like it's a better fit for them to kind of experiment the new IPs, new settings and stuff, instead of having to try and be tied down to existing, you know, lore, gameplay mechanics or whatnot. Let me stop for a second to appreciate this music. Some of those timpanis. It's like war drums finally approaching the castle. I absolutely adore the soundtrack. I think this is the only time in the series, although I could be wrong, and I probably am, but you're actually seeing other enemies wielding whips. This like helps like build the credibility of Simon or the other Belmonts, like choosing to fight with them a little bit. Like it's not such a unusual thing. But right here is like where Castlevania 1 starts, essentially, like in this courtyard with the statues. It's a nice little touch. And now we're in the castle. This game does a really good job of building the drama with the music, really setting the tone. It's the thing with Rondo of Blood and Dracula X, I guess, but just, you don't have this level of whip control. So why not? You know, if the argument is that it makes the game too easy, then make the enemies more difficult to compensate, you know? It just feels fantastic, being able to react, you know, almost like Contra style. Yeah, we're blazing right along here, though. More of the Super Nintendo show-off effects here. The sprite rotation. I do like how the flames of the candles move too when it swings back and forth. That's a nice little touch. Yes, it is a great OST. I wish more contemporary titles. I mean, I feel like you could say this about almost any form of media, including, you know, popular music, but it's like games and movies. Like, what happened to the melodies? You know? I'm all for, you know, suspenseful drones and, you know, ambient noise and stuff. I love that stuff, but it's like the era of beautiful soundtracks and melodies. Is it really over? The dancers. Yeah, they're pretty brutal. Just like brush through this part. Fred Astaire. The ghost of Fred Astaire's ancestor. Yeah, that wasn't gonna happen. I don't know what I was thinking there. Oh. Yeah, those need more than one whip. So what's our death count now? 2 or 3? I said 5. I want to say it's 2, but I could be wrong. But I'm gonna try and stick to that. I think we can do this with 5 or under. Dodge the like Ghostbusters ectoplasm. I'd be curious to find out why Rondo of Blood didn't get more of like a direct port versus Dracula X. You know, I mean, I feel like the consensus is pretty much, you know, Rondo of Blood is the much better game. Yeah, why did they feel it necessary to change it up so much? It's like maybe a side effect of releasing it for both the Japanese and American market, maybe? Probably one of those things we will never know. That jump. This is a game I definitely would be interested in checking out if there's any kind of like overhaul hacks as far as like new levels and stuff. That one would definitely be a good opportunity. Coffin ready to explode. Oh! Oh god. Oh jeez. Look out, Simon. Oh man, that's it. Hollow Knights and Demon Souls OST are my #1. Yeah, I mean, I certainly love Demon Souls OST, and like I said, I haven't checked out Hollow Knight yet, but I've heard that's another great, you know, aspect of it, its soundtrack. I'm not sure what my #1 game OST would be. I mean, there's so many games with fantastic soundtracks. maybe Final Fantasy VI. It's probably going to be on the Super Nintendo. You know, that or Chrono Trigger, maybe? I played through Final Fantasy VI recently, and I mean, this shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, but that game absolutely holds up. You know, it's one of the best games ever made, in my opinion. Just beautiful music, presentation, storyline. It's interesting with the characters in that game because it's not like a ton of dialogue, but it's just the right amount. You know, you get that good level of characterization, and you know, you get their characters. You know. It's a tough act to follow. I mean, I think I'm gonna play through 7 again soon, but the ending of 6 is like, you know, it's like, alright, yeah, I've played the best video game now, I don't have to continue playing them. Yeah, Bloodstained, because they got the, it's the same composer for Symphony of the Night, right? So I'm not paying attention, I'm looking at the chat. Mishiro Yamane, right? Also, I'm gonna focus now, so I can actually do this. Oh yeah, 0 lives too, so I'll go back to the beginning of the stage if I mess up again. JRPG OSTs have a weird nostalgic feeling attached to them. I usually get that feeling from listening to the song, although I've never played that specific game. Yeah, they do. I think it's a combination of a few things. You know, you had a bunch of composers that were, you know, really excited and invigorated to be working with a system that could, you know, perform substantially better than the 8-bit systems before it. I mean, comparing the NES to the Super Nintendo sound chips, it's like comparing, you know, a very, very basic 4-voice synthesizer with like the NES. It's like, okay, you get like 2 pulse waves, a sine wave, and like a noise wave. But then with the Super Nintendo, you have like a multi-channel sampler, which if you're not familiar with, you know, samplers and synthesizers basically means, you know, you can grab any kind of sound you want, downsample it, you know, so the Super Nintendo can handle it. But you get that plus reverb, which is just your possibilities are massively expanded. So having that, but still having, you know, some degree of, you know, hardware limitations just in terms of, you know, length or file size meant that they still had to be creative and work hard at achieving great sounds and memorable melodies, and I think it was really a really good time for that. Just that perfect mix of technology and creativity. And obviously these companies, you know, is one of those things where competition is like really great for us, you know, to enjoy these games because everyone's trying to outdo each other. Can you imagine though? You know, you're like working at Squaresoft in like the mid-90s. You're like down the hall from Uematsu. Just like hear like Terra's theme or something, like coming down the hallway. Oh yeah, that sounds pretty good. Or Street Fighter 2 or something, you know? It's that plus I think, you know, it's the content, you know? like, okay, while they're simultaneously striving for better sound quality and, you know, better songs and stuff, you have game designers and writers who are trying to do the same thing. You know? It's like, hey, what if we put some, like, dramatic content in our video game? Oh, wow, great idea. So the emotions themselves get a little bit more complex versus, you know, rather than just like action or suspense. You know, the feelings you're trying to convey get a little bit more in depth, dynamic. And maybe I should have been paying a little bit more attention to this game instead of rambling about that stuff, because Simon's not doing so good. Ooh, perfect. Just what we needed. Excellent. Some meat, too? Oh, we're doing great. I thought we're probably going to die right here. I always kind of struggle with this boss a little bit. Hey, what do you know? Say, that's what you gotta do. You just gotta say you're gonna lose, and you win. Because if you say you're gonna win, you're gonna lose. So you say you're gonna lose, and then you win. That's how these games work. I think this is the dungeon, right? Like the acid dripping from the ceilings and stuff. Yes. No. Library. Getting ahead of myself. It's Dracula's giant book collection. Both figuratively and literally. Kinda looks like the Black Panther costume there. Up on the wall. Alright, I know I've said this several times now, but let's really try and stick with the cross here. That's one of those things about Symphony of the Night that is a really, really nice quality of life edition. How when you like pick up a sub-weapon, it drops your last one on the floor, so you can swap it back if you change your mind. Gotta skip like most of this here. Just jump down the stairs. Just make sure you don't do it on the last one, which I've definitely done several times. Traverse the magic flying books. I did not think I was gonna make that jump. There goes our cross again. Oh well, we're doing pretty good without the cross generally, so no big deal. This part's really sweet. Like weird portraits. Grab you. I believe there's some kind of secret in this room. There's like a hidden exit. There's like a room where you take out some guy's like ghost dog and then his ghost is sad or something. That sounds insane, but I'm not making that up. Pretty sure that's in here. So you remember part of Mario 64 where a knight climbed out of a painting and smacked you in the head with a bat? That's another game which is in like a golden era of modding right now. If anyone here, if you're not already familiar with Kaze Emanuar, definitely check out his YouTube channel. He's like the king of Mario 64 mods. It's like all these new levels and mechanics, and just like total overhaul conversions. Really cool. He made the well, he was the head modder in charge of that mod for Ocarina of Time, The Missing Link, which I did a review on this channel. Definitely check that out if you haven't, because that is professional grade, you know? Like, that's something that could have been released by Nintendo in terms of quality. And I really mean that. Alright, very little health, but let's see what we can do here. Alright. Oh yeah, this is always fun, isn't it? The moonwalk. I think there's a part in the AVGN video of this game. He's like, yeah. Obviously, it's probably not one I have to recommend to you guys. His Castlevania videos are that like 4-part series or something like my favorite thing he's ever done. Those are so good. I think he and I probably have pretty similar feelings about the series as a whole. Alright, let's try and save our health for this boss up here. Yeah, no sub-weapon, but we don't need it. You can take care of this guy with a whip pretty easily. Or can you? Ooh. I don't think I've ever been taken out by that guy before. Alright, so this is a little bit of a ways back, but we'll just try and haul ass and we'll get there. We'll get back there pretty quick. Yeah, I think you do want the axe. It's very helpful for that one. So I think we crossed over our 5 death threshold. So instead, let's just try and see what I can do. How few deaths I can achieve. You have to think you're going to lose in order to win. Yeah, that seems to be the case with me. Pretty consistently, actually. Super lucky chicken there. I mean, for real though, it's... If you say you're gonna win, you're gonna lose. If you say you're gonna lose, you're gonna win. The classic strategy. Oh, that was a risky maneuver. Alright. No more fooling around. Simon's gotta get out of this library. Ooh! This book's got some unpredictable maneuvering. We got this. This thing with streaming too, it is obviously, it's not trying to make excuses here, but a little more challenging to play when you're also trying to talk about stuff. Instead of just slack-jawed and staring at the TV screen like it normally would be. There we go. Well, then I have, like, no health. This thing's always a little bit curious. It's like, what is he doing besides slowing the Super Nintendo down? Does anyone know what that thing is there for? It's some kind of, like, for some kind of, like, bonus? Because that's something I've never known. So watch out for the bug in the rug. Don't get cocky, don't rush, and assume you're gonna lose, and it'll be fine. Alright. Yeah, we should be good. Look at all these hearts we got. Yeah, this is what we need. Or just do this, I guess. I don't think I've ever seen you do that before. You're stuck in such a loop. Yeah, no problem. How loyal do I think the SNES simulation is to the original hardware? I don't know. I would assume these days it's probably pretty good. I usually just play it on my... I usually don't need to. I basically have all the games that I would want to play, and now I have that flash card, so I don't do too much SNES simulation, but I will say the last time I tried dabbling in it, I downloaded B SNES again. I think that's the one that's supposed to be like really accurate, and it was still not full speed, despite the fact that I was running it on 5900X processor. So I don't know if I was doing something wrong, but that seems a little strange to me. I assume I was, but whenever I, for whatever reason, do emulate Super Nintendo, I usually roll with SNES 9X, and I don't usually notice too much of a difference. But like I said, I usually don't need to, because I have my Super Nintendo and all the games that I would want, basically. This game I got in, I want to say like 2003. It was whenever Metroid Prime came out, maybe 2002. And I went into a Toys R Us. I was 12 years old. Had like a bunch of, summer allowance money, mowing lawns and all that stuff. And, you know, I went in with the intention of buying Metroid Prime, which I did, but they had tons of clearance stuff as well. So not only did I get Metroid Prime, but I got this game, I think one or two other Super Nintendo games, but then I bought a Sega Genesis and like 6 Genesis games, and they were like dirt cheap. One of those games was Bloodlines. I think I paid like $5 for it. Castlevania Bloodlines. And that's a game that now just the cartridge goes for like $70. So if I had known, yeah, I probably would have bought several copies, but yeah, those, I miss those days, like, actually being able to buy the classic games at reasonable prices. Yard sales and stuff, too. I think in the summer of, like, 2004, you know, I was just, like, going to these yard sales with my friends, and we would just buy just tons and tons like systems and games and stuff. You know, I think just like one yard sale I went to alone, I bought like 4 NESs, maybe 5, multiple PlayStations, 3 Super Nintendos, tons of games, tons of controllers. And I paid like $50 for that. Different time, truly. Focus. Let's focus. The only systems I still emulate are, well, I guess there's a few exceptions, but the big ones are probably NES and Genesis, just because I currently don't have a way to play those with RGB. I mean, Genesis is simple, you can just buy RGB cables, but NES, you have to mod it, which is like kind of tricky. Or get someone else to do it, which is going to cost you like $200 or something. That's interesting. Yeah, with Contra 3, the only thing I've ever noticed with that game, the emulation, is maybe the sound. Like the explosions and stuff don't sound quite as beefy. But otherwise, yeah, it's pretty much perfect now. We've come a long way from the SNES days, for sure. You guys have any experience with that? It's like horrible sound emulation. Just like generally like very inaccurate. Don't want to die again on this stage, so I'm really trying to focus here for a sec. I don't have the multiplier anymore, so I gotta throw the axes a little slower. But we're beating this game tonight. There's no doubt about that. We're not giving up. We're clearing this thing. Too bad the stopwatch doesn't stop those traps, huh? Damn. Yeah, it's always funny jumping into the side of the spike takes you out. It's also like right before the next checkpoint, which is frustrating. That's another thing. Can't get frustrated and start playing sloppy. Kiss of death. This is usually the point in the game where I start, I think it starts definitely getting a little bit more challenging. We got this. Yeah, you'd think this screen here would count as a block, but no. It's not. So not to jump into the side of that thing again. There we go. Now we're good. Maybe this is the furthest we've been so far, right? Just try not to fall in the goop here. I think it's red in the Japanese version, right? I think that's supposed to, it's like blood. Which I guess would be a little bit more appropriate, right? Dracula's castle. Yeah, another easy skip screen. There's one more, and I think in the last stage, clock tower, you just drop down and you don't really have to deal with most of those obstacles. Yo, I was just thinking, I don't know why it reminded me of it, but one game that I've never beaten, but I would love to come closer times, but is Illusion of Gaia on Super Nintendo. It's a really cool game. I don't know, I've never beaten it. It always seems like something just like comes up in my life that prevents me from doing so. But I should have quite a bit of free time this summer, so I'll do that. There's also, I mean, there's games like, there are the games that, you know, you play you play once a year, you play every few years. Link to the Past is definitely due for a replay for me, so that's another one I definitely gotta play again soon. Alright. Frankenstein? Yeah. Kind of an easy boss. I should say Frankenstein's monster, if anyone wants to be pedantic. Yeah, it's like missing the little Igor guy. from the first game. Now that we've cleared that stage, we should be all set. I think the rest is pretty smooth sailing. Dracula's haunted mansion. His haunted gold mine. Sorry, I was just thinking about a movie I purchased recently. I haven't watched it yet, but it's called Hercules and the Haunted World. And it's one of the Reg Park Hercules movies. And I haven't watched it, but I bought it on a whim because I was just, you know, I was in the store looking at it. And, you know, those movies are fine. I've seen some of the Hercules, you know, Reg Park movies, but in this one he goes to like hell or something and confronts Dracula, something like that. I don't know. It sounded really crazy, so I gotta pay attention here. Hold on a sec. Hold on. One sec here. Alright, sorry about that. That's always interesting. Just holding out the hand. The hand of God. Skeleton didn't quite make that jump. It's alright, he's lost in our game. Never really managed to get up there. I'm gonna try this. Skeleton usually, or the bat usually stops me there. Oh, and by Dracula, I mean Christopher Lee in that movie I was just talking about. Getting some wires crossed to my brain right now, I think. But yeah, it's just like a shot on the back of him like an altar. Like super like campy kind of setup. Looks like it should be good. Frankenstein and the other monsters are copyright free. I wonder why it is not very usual to see them in more works. Yeah, I think it's probably, it's been done so many times, you know? I think, like even like the Universal monster movies from like the 30s, I think those successfully kind of set the template. So it's almost like Parodyville, but I do think there's potential to keep, you know, making adaptations of some of that stuff. You know, in a more, doesn't have to be like a quote-unquote like modern context, but you know, just getting like different perspectives on it. If you guys are into Red Letter Media at all, they just did a video on the like Francis Ford Coppola Dracula from like I don't know, the one from the 90s. That's, yeah, I pretty much agreed with them. It's like, it's pretty interesting. You know, it's kind of a more unique take on it, incorporating the love story. And then obviously the very unusual design of Dracula, like his like butt hair. Japanese kimono look. I think they should take another shot at Van Helsing, you know? There's like, And what I mean by that is like the Hugh Jackman version of it, where it's kind of like an action movie, you know, like stylized, like fighting monsters and stuff. Okay. So it looks like we're going back to the beginning of the level, huh? Yeah, the song is a banger. Absolutely. Starts off very calm. You know. Okay, it's kind of a slower piece. Kicks it up a notch. A never dead game with Frankenstein as protagonist. Yeah, that'd be sweet. Very cool idea. Alright, playing a little sloppy here. I gotta concentrate. Starting to think about several things that are not this game. There's a bunch of different monster movies and stuff. Yeah, an idea I had recently, I was talking to a friend of mine, a filmmaker. So you should do some kind of like, basically Grease, but a slasher movie. So everyone's like, has that kind of like stylized, exaggerated, like 50s vibe and, you know, kind of look going on. But it's like, you know, kind of like Halloween or Friday the 13th type movie. And then just use like a bunch of, like the Danzig era Misfits tracks for the soundtrack. If there's anyone listening who has the capacity to make that reality, please do so. Death, but at least we're at this block here. So we get sent back a teeny bit. Ooh. Whip wasn't quite long enough yet. So Konami, I don't understand why they don't, at the very least, you know, like license out some of the IPs they have. I feel like there will be very, very little risk, you know. It's like, make a new Castlevania game, new Contra game, new Silent Hill game. I mean, of course I would want, you know, that to actually be good. I wouldn't want it to just farm it out to make money, but get the gang back together, Silent Hill. Team Silent. I know this isn't exactly a unique opinion, but I don't think any of the non-Team Silent games are any good. And I guess you're just supposed to jump past before those blocks complete, huh? Yeah. That's what you're supposed to do. Do I mean attempting to make a slash into a video game? Probably Hitman. No, I meant movie. No, just like a movie. Oh yeah, they did do Getsu Fumitem. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. It almost seems like that's kind of like a dipping the toe into the water kind of scenario, maybe. It's like, alright, can we do this on this budget level and have it be successful? That original game is pretty sweet too. The NES game. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think it might have also been an arcade game. And one that's obviously a bit more obscure, but I'd love to see Goemon come back somehow. I know there's never really like much of a thing in outside of the Japan market with a few exceptions, but a lot of great games in that series. Mystical Ninja 64 is another one that I have a big soft spot for. I think it's a super underrated game. That's another one in the potential future video category. You see the face here in the chest? It's a pretty cool little detail. I know there was like a new Contra game kind of relatively recently, but it looked horrible. I don't know if it's out yet, but I just remember it being like, oh man, you guys are not, you do not get the point. You were like missing the point big time. Which is weird because it was directed by, I should remember his name considering I talked so much about him in that Contra 3 video, but it was directed by that same guy. You gotta dodge the debris. Damn. Alright. We got it this time. Okay, we don't got it this time. That's what I have to say, right? That's probably the worst foot and mouth thing I've ever done. Bat. Between Batman and this the other night, I'm really having a problem with bats lately. Oh, I guess there's the bigger problem with the bat we're all still dealing with, but let's just keep it to video games for now, I guess. I wonder if that Robert Pattinson Batman movie is going to be any good. Alright, be really careful here. As he knocks me back, it's like guaranteed death into that pit there. Because the screen is now scrolled up slightly. Come on. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those bosses I think you can also just kind of abuse the hit stun a little bit on Simon. That, like, momentary invulnerability. Either way, we're gonna take this bat down. A lot of health for a bat made out of gold and diamonds. god. So close. There we go. Sorry, seizure warning. Oh my god. I hope nobody watching this is epileptic. If you are, I really hope you're okay. Okay. We're getting close, guys. Starting to get the classic Castlevania tunes. I love that detail. Starting to get the throwback melodies. Starting to bring it back. So good. If anyone from Konami ever sees this, listen, just get in touch with me, and I will help you guys make the best Castlevania game ever, okay? It's just a really awesome touch to hold back on the, you know, the previously used songs and melodies and stuff up until this point. Yeah, it wouldn't have the same effect if you started a game and the first level was one of them, you know? Thanks for the seizure, appreciate it. Yeah, sorry. Sorry about that. Intentionally get a little closer because I knew I was going to eat that hit, but that way it wouldn't knock me off the platform. Whoa! I always forget about that little gear there. This part's a little tricky because you don't want to unintentionally grab onto one of these whip hooks. Alright, I might have to not talk for a second, just concentrate. This is getting a little challenging. Oh! Damn, I didn't want that. Yeah, the way this builds is just fantastic. The last two boss fights before Dracula, I should say the last three. So like that sky backdrop, can't wait to see that. My favorite parts of this game. Yeah, this is what I was talking about a second ago. You're like trying to whip him, but you gotta try not to grab onto those things. There we go. $69 hearts. Very nice. really wish we had a multiplier right now, but still should be pretty easy. Do this right. No sweat. The whip control needed for this level. Yeah, it's awesome. Cool skill check. And one of those things that actually ties into the level design. You know, it's a clock tower. All these like moving gears and stuff. You know, it makes sense that, yeah, it's a good way of incorporating the mechanic into the level design. Absolutely. Another part where we can skip a bunch of the level. I like the look that this is kind of... Oh, whoops. I'm gonna go ahead and just suicide so we can get our lives back and not have to start from back here if we die one more time. I thought I had... Yeah. Alright, one more time. There we go. Alright. Yeah, it's better than Castle. I don't know if it's supposed to be like looking super aged like it's the original part, the oldest part or something, but either way, kind of a neat look. It's like the Vlad the Impaler section. That background looks so great. Multi-layered scrolling. Okay. Getting close. Little ticking clock of a giant buzzsaw threatening to kill you. Pretty motivating. Gotta keep moving. Spike traps. I don't know, I was thinking for a sec there. It's like I couldn't make that jump. Ooh, damn. I think those are the same fog sprites from the intro around the gravestone. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are. Sorry if I'm not being super talkative at this moment here, because it's a little tricky. Let's get a little bit more concentration. Death happens very, very quickly at this point in the game. It's also now past midnight here, but gonna stay strong, guys. We're gonna beat this tonight. There we go. Alright. Final section of the game. And the one I was talking about a few minutes ago. Super cool. Crazy music. Play it safe with Slogger here. Oop. It's like one last gauntlet before we get to the man himself. It's too close. Wow, that was close. Sky looks so nice. Yeah, this is one of my favorite scenes in any Super Nintendo game. It's very evocative for me. More seizure warnings, sorry. Guy on here is not so bad. Now, pretty tough boss. Not as tough as he was in Castlevania 1, though. He's a real brute in that one. Here he's tough, but it's not quite as bad. So he just like keeps swinging that whip around. Just gotta time that a little later. It's like, you're only gonna make it if you jump the last possible second. Alright. And now, ladies and gentlemen, time for the final battle. So, let's go ahead and grab the secret here. And the tricky part is actually making that jump back. That's the only challenge there. It's interesting seeing this right after playing Castlevania 1 the other day. I mean, obviously they kind of reuse this motif a lot. This general kind of visual setup, but seeing it from 8-bit to 16-bit is cool. It's pretty much back to back. I don't need any of that. you think that's supposed to be somewhat of an upside down cross in this window up here? We might need a round 2 here with Dracula. Let's see. Yeah. Alright. Round 2. Just a little warm up. Now we've got him. A little bit of a fake out there from Dracula. Yeah, cheap like that. Pretty evenly matched so far. What's this? I love that. It's like Simon's moment of glory. Like, come on, let's go. Let's do this. The moment he was born for. It's such a nice touch. I'm not gonna lie, the ending music, the credits music, it's just, it always gives me chills. It's just fantastic. Just sit back and enjoy it. It's funny, I mean, it's the ending is basically that little, 5-second clip and then just seeing, what you just did in the game, but the music is so climactic and mesmerizing that you still feel totally content. It's a really inspirational piece of music for sure. As we were talking about earlier, it's another great example of both maybe more mature songwriting, but then also just really great sound design, utilizing that SNES sound chip. Well, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that. I definitely had a few dumb deaths here and there, but not too bad overall. So I play through this probably a couple times a year, so I'm not too bad at it, but thank you regardless for saying that. And thank you for, joining me and chatting. I really appreciate that. This is a pretty small channel, so it's always nice to, people are, talkative in the chat and stuff. So I definitely appreciate that. I think I will probably... Yeah, so I'm definitely going to be having more Castlevania content on this channel, I think. I mean, not only because I enjoy it a lot, but I think there's probably a pretty big crossover between Souls fans and Castlevania. So maybe some likewise interest as well. I mean, ultimately what it comes down to is just really, stuff I want to do for the channel. It's like I'm not really thinking about this like, oh, I really want to grow and have like a really big channel. I want to have like a YouTube career. No, that's not what I'm thinking about. I just want to, have some fun, find some like-minded people, and talk about stuff when I find it interesting enough, or if nobody else is. So, those of you who do join me, I definitely always appreciate it. And hey, we actually get real names in the credits this time, at least for the most part, instead of like the dumb puns in Castlevania 1 the other night. Presented by Konami. It's kind of bittersweet saying that, isn't it? It used to be such an amazing game company. But times change, things change. And we'll always have these games, you know? So there's that at least. But thanks again, everyone who joined me. I really, really appreciate it. It was great chatting with you all. Um, as I've mentioned before, I'm definitely going to keep streaming, more often these days. It's been good so far. I think the next stream will probably be either Friday or Sunday. There'll be one on Sunday at the very least, but I might do one a Friday evening as well. Either way, I'll put up a notice ahead of time so you guys can see, and if you want to join me, that'd be fantastic. Max, you're a nice guy and play Hollow Knight. Well, thank you, Max, and I certainly will. Just because you said that, I will play Hollow Knight, and I'll let you know what I thought of it. I'm sure it'll be great because everyone seems to recommend it to me. But anyway, guys, it's almost 1 a.m. here. I gotta get a snack and go to bed, but I really appreciate everything. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Adios.